Back, everybody. We are back for the 11 o'clock hour, and we are moving right along. We have nurse practitioner Jaclyn Shedden here today from Blue Sky Health. And Jaclyn is a wealth of knowledge, and she's going to deliver it without, folks, the use of a PowerPoint. So pay attention, okay? Pay attention, listen close, and don't leave your monitor right now. Jaclyn, where do you live?
I live in Tampa.
Tampa, Florida.
Go
Beautiful.
Bucks, go Lightning, go Rays.
You guys have had a good year, a good couple of years in sports.
A couple years, yeah. It's a great place to live. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, Pittsburgh was the first place to be that city of champions, years ago when we had Super Bowls and World Series and Stanley Cups. And
yeah. It's fun to be the current one.
Long gone.
Fun to be a current one.
Yeah. No, currently, we're not even close. Okay, so we are here. It's Live Thursday, and the workshop today, Jaclyn Shedden, Go Health Yourself. I love that title. I love it. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to steal it. And I'm going to say that to as many people as I can.
I have it on the back of my shirt right now.
Good. Excellent. All right, Jaclyn, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Joe. I really appreciate it. Just want to give a big shout out to you guys at Nutritional Frontiers. Just for all the work that you guys do to put so many wonderful products together, the formulations and everything that you guys have such a huge impact on my life, my family's life. And I get the pleasure to use them with my patients and have great success. So really, really appreciate everything that you guys do over at Nutritional Frontiers. So when I was 22, I just turned 40, but when I was 22, I graduated from nursing school with my associates. And even back when I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. But I had to go to a lot of schooling, obviously, to do that. So throughout my 20s, I was in school. And even though I was pretty busy with school, I liked to, stay active. And I played in a flag football league. And I didn't really focus on my nutrition. I didn't really even have a thought of it, even though I was a nurse. And I ate pretty well. But after every game on a Sunday of flag football, I would go and get a Publix sub. So Publix is just a great supermarket down here, and they make their own bread. So I would get a big Italian sub after I played my flag football and go home and eat it. And it was just a really great Sunday ritual. Well, while I was going to school, I started learning a little bit more about food and the importance of it. And then when I graduated from nurse practitioner school, I immediately went to work with a functional medicine doctor and really got to see the importance of nutrition for our health. And I was learning so much, and I really wanted to make sure that everything was okay with me. So I did some blood work. And on my blood work, I found out that I had an autoimmune issue. I had Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune issue with your thyroid. So this was a big wake-up call for me, because now that I was learning more about, the more functional medicine aspect of healthcare, I did not want to continue to have this autoimmune disease, and so I wanted to figure out what I could do to improve it and hopefully eliminate it. And I knew that changing my diet and cutting out those Publix subs and gluten was going to be one of the biggest, will have the biggest impact that was going to change, the outlook of my health as a whole. So what did I do? So I cut out gluten after I found out that I had Hashimoto's, and there was a lot of great benefits that I felt from cutting out gluten. Like I did lose 6 pounds without trying. I definitely had some more mental clarity, no bloating. My stomach was flatter. And I was very, very strict, though, with cutting out gluten. I made some other changes as well, and I incorporated some supplements and everything. But I then wanted to go and check my blood work just a few months later. And I was extremely happy to see that my antibodies, which I had tested previously that were high, that showed Hashimoto's, were now normal. And I was super excited to be able to reverse the Hashimoto's that I had. And also, I thought that was going to be a really, really cool thing that I was going to be able to share as my own personal experience with my patients. So like most people, I think in the world today, and for probably decades, we don't generally make changes in our life unless we have some red flag or some scary event. Oftentimes you hear people, they're diagnosed with cancer, they have a heart attack, they have some really scary thing happen to them, and then they want to make some changes to their nutrition and overall health and lifestyle. And that's just the way we're wired, I think. We don't really want to rock the boat unless we're forced to. But with the pandemic going on, obviously still, I feel like it's such an important time to really reflect on our own health. And I think that everybody in the world has probably kind of did a little self-evaluation of their own health status to see if, what their risk factors are. And if you've listened to any of the news since the pandemic started, or not even news, any healthcare providers, you will have heard that people more at risk of getting sick and actually losing their life from COVID are the ones that have things like obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, asthma, and these are all super inflammatory states. And even if you don't have those, if you have really high inflammation in your diet and in your body, then that does put you at a higher risk of getting sick, not just from COVID, but so many other diseases that we have out there, comorbidities and stuff. So now, obviously, a lot of people, they might not think, okay, I don't have any of those, so I'm good to go, but their inflammation could still be very high in their body and they just don't know it. And I feel like that really should be the key message right now as we're trying to continue to navigate the pandemic that's been going on for so long, and really talk about nutrition as the first line of defense, because what we fuel our bodies with is going to set us up for success in health in general, independent of whether we are in a pandemic or not. In school, we don't really learn, about this. We really focus more on medications, and then there's the surgical interventions and stuff. And so unfortunately, it's not set up that way, to really be as food to be the first thought that should come into your mind if we want to improve our overall health and protect us from something like COVID. And I see this a lot in my practice, that there's just that disconnect. And, a few months ago, I had a new patient that came into my office, and she was in her 50s. And she was establishing care. And when someone comes into my office, I do a very extensive intake form. I talk about all sorts of things. And I really do get a good history on what their nutritional habits are, what are their best foods that they eat, what are their worst foods that they eat. Do they eat things like fast food and high sugar? And this particular patient that was coming in, she did have several comorbidities and stuff, but her diet was really, really poor. And as I went through all of her intake paperwork, I saw that she was actually scheduled for a surgery, bypass surgery, in November. So this is always like hard for me to see when patients are scheduled for something like this. I don't see it very often. I did earlier in my practice, but I was pretty shocked, because doing something like gastric bypass I've had patients that have done it, and it's such a drastic change, to your body. And we sat down and discussed it together. And I said, and I know they have to go through counseling, and there's, a lot of stuff they have to do prior, but I said, has anyone, I went over just the different foods that she ate and just how inflammatory they were. And she was aware that they weren't the best. And I said, has anyone ever talked to you about changing your diet drastically, detoxing your body, because 6 years prior to that, she had to have surgery. And, before she had to have surgery for her back injury, she was working, she was active, living like a very fulfilled life. And after her surgery, she basically became disabled, wasn't able to work, and did have quite a bit of depression. And over the span of a few years, had gained 100 pounds. So she was in more pain than she was prior to the surgery, and was referred to a surgeon, for the gastric bypass. So when we sat down and really discussed like what options had been laid out to her, she said that nobody had actually really made that the priority and took the time to go over everything that could change in her nutrition and lifestyle habits to, obviously lose some weight and decrease inflammation in the body. So I said, don't cancel any of your surgery or anything. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to have you cancel that, but I want to give you the opportunity to eat better, decrease your inflammation and see, and do some, like, it was a big commitment on her part, but do some really big changes in your own lifestyle with nutrition, and some other things, and see how you feel. And maybe we can delay or even prevent you from having to go through this type of surgery, because, not able to eat foods when you have to, you have basically a liquid diet, you're going to put yourself at risk for nutrient deficiencies. And then, a lot of people, they have depression that can even worsen because they're so used to eating foods, like whole foods, chewing and stuff like that, that when they cut that out and are on basically a liquid diet, I mean, that's very, very hard to handle. So she agreed, and we're working on that. And that's just such an incredible thing for me to be able to work with her on that and hopefully prevent her from having to go through that surgery. And I know that there's a lot of focus on food in some ways, and some people are very aware of it, but most of the people that I'm seeing in my practice, they don't have that connection to it. And it's so important to be, your own health advocate right now, especially because there's a lot of things being thrown at us and a lot of fear. And we sometimes respond to that fear quickly without really evaluating what it is that we can do first to really help ourselves. Like this patient before, she didn't have anyone talk to her about her nutrition, so she never connected the dots. And I'm sure she knew that she wasn't eating well, but she just needed help. She needed help in really understanding, because there's a lot of confusion with diets. What diet is best? Mediterranean, keto, really it's just eating whole foods, low sugar, low inflammatory. But doing a self-evaluation for yourself right now is really key. Just evaluate and see, do you eat fast food ever? I know some people think that Chick-fil-A is not really fast food, even though they eat like grilled chicken or whatever. But yes, that is still fast food. And I even have that on my intake form. And because, we get so used to doing certain things, and it's readily available. Fast food is obviously readily available, but the amount of inflammation that it causes in the diet is so big. And then sugary foods, or sugary drinks. Many people will go and go through the drive-through and get like a matcha latte without realizing that it has like 50 grams of sugar in it. Of course, it's going to taste good, but what are the side effects of having all that sugar and all that inflammation? Are you eating a lot of fried foods? Do you use the microwave? Because all of these things are going to increase inflammation in your body. And that is the opposite of what we want to do. And, I'll just give a big shout out again to Nutritional Frontiers, because they have some of the absolute best formulations on the market to help you detox, to help get rid of bloating, to help decrease inflammation throughout your body. And I use their products, I use 6 of their products in my program. I have a program called Blue Sky Body, and it's a 60-day program. And I use all of their stuff to help my patients go help themselves. And about 2 months ago, I had a patient that came in, and she she was in her early 40s, and she didn't eat horribly. She did eat. She was more so addicted to sugar. She did eat fast food sometimes as well, but she did cook. You know, she was into cooking and stuff, and so she came to me with severe heartburn. She also was not having a regular bowel movement, maybe two a week, which is, you know, so bad because you're then absorbing all of that, all those toxins back into your system, and it's then increasing your inflammation, which is not good, obviously. But she was taking an antacid that her doctor was prescribing for her, and had been on it for really like 10 years and had just kept taking it. And I talked to her about it, and I said, you know, when I was like, how long have you been on this? She's like, oh, forever, you know. And I said, has anyone ever talked to you about changing your diet or, you know, doing something to help you get off of this medication? Because what a lot of people don't understand is that when you are having heartburn and stuff, and then you take an antacid, I mean, you don't have enough digestive enzymes and gastric acid in your stomach to really break down your food. So it's the opposite of what we think. And then we take an antacid, and it just makes things worse, and it's really hard for people to get off of it. So she's like, no, you know, I haven't really talked about it. I just thought it was something I would be on forever. And we definitely know now more than before, and you even see commercials, I think, about it, about staying on stuff like antacids long term can be really bad for your bones, and among other things. And typically you shouldn't be taking that stuff. Some people, you know, take it a long time, but maybe a couple weeks at most. There's so many other options available to help with those types of issues. But anyway, so I, you know, started her on my Blue Sky Body program, and I put her on the Nutritional Frontiers products. And she was actually seeing me every week for a month. And so she came back, and she's like, I can't believe it. She's like, I have had a bowel movement every single day. And I was like, okay, great, you know, and she was so excited about that. And some people might get shy about that, but that's something that I like talking about because I know she's detoxing well. And then she, you know, she wanted to wean herself off of her medication. And so we started working on that. And within a few weeks, she was completely off of her medication. And she was just shocked that she didn't take it anymore, and that she wasn't having the heartburn that she had for so long. Even sometimes with the medication, she would still have it. So she was so excited. And now it's been, you know, she's still doing everything that we worked on together, and she just feels so much better. And obviously she did lose weight and everything, but you know, those are some long-term strategies that she's just going to continue to incorporate, because when you go back from doing something like that, decreasing all that inflammation in your body, you're, you know, if you did incorporate something that was inflammatory, you're going to feel it, and you're not going to feel that great. So just excited to work with those types of patients and really help them learn about how much inflammation and nutrition are correlated. Now, one of the other things that I really like to work on in myself, and then also help my patients with to help elevate my level of health consciousness, is meditation. Now, meditation is one of the only things, you know, one of the very few things that I know that was in existence thousands of years ago and is still, you know, in existence today and used all over the world, and obviously has great impact on people's health. When the pandemic first started, I had a lot of anxiety and was very, very stressed out. A couple months prior to the pandemic starting, I had moved my clinic, my office, to a new location. And, you know, then everything started shutting down. People weren't leaving their houses. And it was very, very scary for me because I had just moved to this bigger office, and then the pandemic started. I had never done a Zoom call with a patient, never done a telehealth call with a patient before, but I learned that really, really quick. And overall, my stress was extremely high. I was, afraid. I didn't know what was going on with COVID in the world, and I had friends and family that lived in New Jersey. Obviously, it was pretty bad up there in the beginning, and so there was just a lot of uncertainty and a lot of anxiety that I was experiencing, and it was kind of at times debilitating. So I talked to my dad about this, and he said, do you do any type of meditation right now? I said, no, like nothing, and I had done stuff like this in the past, but, scheduling, family, everything kind of gets in the way. And I said, no, I don't do anything like that. And he's like, do you still have that book that I got you, your meditation book? And that he had gotten me years ago. And I said, yeah, I had read it in the past, but I hadn't picked it up in a long time. And I said, yeah, I still have it. And he's like, Jack, why don't you wake up a little bit early, like an hour early, and make your coffee. We're big coffee fans, and we like to make specialized coffee in the morning. And and he's like, wake up in the morning, get your coffee, go sit outside in your patio and read the meditation book every morning, and just start a routine like that, just so you can ground yourself a little bit more. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And I talked to my husband, and my daughter typically sleeps in, even now. She typically can sleep in pretty good. But I just talked to my husband, and I said, I really need to do some sort of meditation, because this is really intense, and I need to just change, these patterns and this anxiety that I'm feeling. And so can you just, if Sky wakes up, can you just get her breakfast and everything? And of course, he's very supportive and amazing. And so he's like, absolutely. And so I started waking up. I woke up early every morning, at least an hour. I made my coffee, and then I actually, the book I read is called Daily Meditations for Practicing the Course. And it's a little ratty, and my daughter actually got to it a few times. But it has just a daily thing that you could read every day. And there's like plenty of options to choose from. I mean, that one you can get on Amazon, and there's so many others out there. But I started doing that every day, and I started doing some deep breathing exercises and just some overall reflecting, and really coming from a place of gratitude and recentering myself. And I started seeing huge changes in my body. I wasn't as tense. I didn't feel as tense. I was sleeping better. I wasn't as irritable, and I was just more at peace. And I've been doing that every single day. So that was back in April of 2020. And I've been doing that, every single day since. And I also cut out some other stuff that was increasing that was increasing my anxiety. I was reading a lot. I was listening to different things, and I cut that out too, because that was just not, it wasn't helping my Zen state, let's just say. So I started cutting out stuff that was going to increase my anxiety, like social media, and that just helped me even more. And, instead of focusing on the separation and the division and some of the stuff that's going on right now, I really just started focusing on gratitude and love. And I could feel it in my body. If you go on PubMed, you can look up inflammation and meditation. And there's several different studies, because you can actually, you can measure inflammation in the body in different lab tests. And there's so many different studies that show how much inflammation goes down with meditation and mindfulness. And it's so important, obviously, to be aware of the sugar cravings and food cravings that we have. But, the ego has cravings of its own. And a lot of times those cravings are drama. And, when you're trying to have like a peaceful evening, maybe you like hop on social media and something gets you heated. And so, it's also curbing those cravings as well. And it's easy to do that. You just delete those things or, refuse to go on certain sites and stuff. And, just check yourself before, what am I actually craving right now? Because that's going to really help you feel overall better, but it's also going to decrease inflammation in your body as a whole, which is where all disease starts. All disease starts from inflammation. The other way that I've been helping to elevate my health consciousness is through music. Now, music has changed a lot, and now we are able to stream it anywhere, anytime, on any device, which is very, very cool. And some of my fondest memories are when I was growing up in Canada with my family, my parents and my brother and sister. And we lived in Calgary, and we would go to, we would take, in Calgary it's cold most of the year. And there was, the summers were pretty short, like 6 weeks, and it wasn't even that hot, but you take advantage of that, right? That's why I live in Florida now. But so we would go on these 3-week vacations every year, every summer. And those were some of the fondest memories that I have. And part of those memories include listening to some of the most incredible music. And I am so glad that my parents introduced me to the music, back in the 80s, like Tom Petty and Electric Light Orchestra. And so many, so much rock music that is still the best music in my eyes today. And, some of the music we would listen to, one of the things was like Tom Petty and, Into the Great Wide Open. I'll never forget, we were going to Montana, and we just listened to that whole, I guess it was like a tape at that point. And we would listen to the whole tape, both sides, and, just drive on our vacation. And I did get to see Tom Petty, back in 2017. My husband and I got to see him actually 3 times before he passed away. And that he just became such a big part of my life. And when my husband and I found out that we were going to have a girl, we picked the name Sky, and that's what my business is now obviously named after. And we weren't sure about the middle name. And I was like, well, why don't we have her middle name be Petty, after Tom Petty? So he agreed. We're huge fans. So her name is Sky Petty. And he's just had such an impact on my life. And, when I'm going through like a stressful time or intense time, and there's been lots of those over the last year and a half since the pandemic started, there's one song in particular that I like to listen to. It's actually, Tom Petty sings it, but for all of you Tom Petty fans, it's actually from his original band called Mudcrutch. And back when he formed that in Gainesville, and it's called I Forgive It All. And you can find it anywhere on all the streaming, on anywhere that Alexa will play it for you, or Spotify. And it's called I Forgive It All. And that is such an amazing song for me, just to help redirect my focus. If I have anger, if I have fear, if I have, uneasiness, and sometimes we have to forgive ourselves. And that just helps, I know for me, just kind of put things back in perspective, into what's really important. What's really important, is really just being more in gratitude. And so is there, pick a song, or you probably have one, that you can really put on when you're in a stressful moment, instead of maybe engaging in something else that's negative. Music is always a good stop point, because it really makes you think, and it can trigger so many wonderful memories. And there's one other song that I listen to all the time, and it's called In Dreams, and it's by Jai Jadish. and it's on Spotify if you just put In Dreams in. But this kind of stuff for me just helps keep me focused on what my dreams are, what my desires are, what's really, really important. Because obviously the world is a different place right now. We're going through a very big shift, and we can still live in gratitude and do daily things to help improve our overall health. And so we don't kind of get sucked into all the drama. There's never been a better time to go health yourself, because since there is so much fear in the world, and, just some simple things like incorporating a daily meditation into your routine, having a song or two that is just something that can just help you relax. Because when you relax like that, cortisol goes down in the body, and that does decrease inflammation as well. And, set aside some time in your day for you to have some of that quiet time. And, whether it's meditation or some other thing, sometimes it's drawing or, exercising. I mean, there's so many different things, but something that is not going to be, amp you up. Because it's such a key, to stay. It's such an important part of our life right now, is to stay grounded and out of the drama. Maybe create like a gratitude journal. Because when we make a conscious effort to do these things, eating foods. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's going to be perfect all the time. I mean, I certainly am not. But when you make these decisions every day to set aside some time for yourself, to engage in a fun activity, to, instead of, going on something that is going to increase your cortisol levels, listen to something like music that's going to actually help you relax. Maybe do a guided meditation. Because when we do these things, your life will completely change, as mine did when I started doing this a year and a half ago with my meditation. I had a lot of time. I had a lot of the food stuff and everything I'd been doing for years, but I was still really stressed out. So put yourself in the driver's seat and be in charge of your own health, and the results will be astounding, but you just have to really stay with it. So thank you. You there, Joe? Hello. I can't hear you. Hello? Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulty.
Gotta love it.
Okay, now can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, okay. So Phil, our board guy, walked away for 1 second to get a refreshment.
Well, I'm a little under time, so
I can't believe you ended early. You usually have so much information. But yeah, it was great. And I think that the key and the way you get people thinking about their health is just, to me, that takes it to the next level, because our thoughts are powerful, right? I mean, our thoughts are so powerful. People don't realize that. And like Tracy says all the time, we're being programmed, right? are being programmed for all of this crap out there. You know, it's like nobody gets a cold anymore. Nobody gets the flu anymore. You know, they get sick. Oh, they got COVID. Oh, they got COVID. You know, there's other things too. But, you know, gratitude. I mean, I love your thoughts on that too. I always, when I do my radio show, I always end it with, you know, keep an attitude of gratitude and, you know, you live long and prosper. But gratitude's everything. I had a friend of mine, Dr. John DeMartini. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He wrote a book called Count Your Blessings. And it was all about gratitude and finding that silver lining. And it changed the way I thought about everything. And that was 15 years ago I read that. And it's very, very important, right? Everything is. Thoughts, the food you put in your body, all these things. And what people I don't think also don't realize, Jaclyn, is everything is working at a vibrational chemical level, right?
Yes.
Food is chemicals that vibrate. Nutrients, vitamins, minerals, they all vibrate at a chemical. I mean, they all vibrate at a cellular level.
Yeah.
And so do your thoughts.
Yeah. Oh, of course. So, yeah. I love that.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 3.
Sky Petty.
Sky Petty. She's 3. Oh, she asks Alexa for Tom Petty all the time. I love it.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Oh, she's blessed.
Okay, well, we appreciate you being on. Enjoy Tampa. We wish we were there. Looks like it's.
Well, you guys will be down here soon if you guys are coming next month for the. I don't know if you'll be down at the event.
Yeah. Well, and it is a sunny day here in Pittsburgh today, so
nice.
We cherish that anytime we can get it. But Jaclyn Shedden, everybody. Jaclyn, you want to give them any contact information before we sign you off?
Sure. My website is blueskyhealth.com, and sky is spelt with an E after my beautiful daughter.
Okay. blueskyhealth.com, Jaclyn Shedden, nurse practitioner. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking time out to join us and help educate us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. So, folks, we're going to start a little bit early for the next one. So if you're on now, stay on. Don't leave. Robert Young is going to join us. He wanted to get started a little early. He's out on the West Coast, and he's got some time constraints. So it's even earlier for him. But he wanted to see, he said if it's at all possible, he wanted to start a little early. So we're going to start at 11:45 for Dr. Robert Young. So stay on if you want, but come back early. Come back at 11:45 for Dr. Robert Young, 5G and beyond. Look out. We're going to blow the roof off on this one.